And welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles, as always. On this special midweek podcast, we'll be reviewing last night's 2-1 away win over Nuno Espirito Santo's Nottingham Forest side. So sit back and enjoy the show. On this special show this week, I'm joined by my regular guest, Matt Bourne. How are you, Matt?
All right, Jonathan, how are you?
Thanks for coming along to this special show.
No problem at all.
I'm also joined by another special guest from another top Arsenal podcast, the North Bank Summit podcast, Liam Gardner. How are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, Jonathan. And thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you. If our listeners could give Liam's podcast a listen as well, it's really good listen. I've listened to the last 2 episodes he sent me, and the North Bank Summit is another podcast and my favourite list now on Spotify. So there you go.
Cheers, mate.
Can bump his listenership up as well, it'd be much appreciated. Also, if you can give our friends a listen over at justarsenal.com, where they do daily videos, post-match interviews, and etc. And they update their podcasts, their sites or their website with all the daily Arsenal news every day. So it's really good if you can give them a look as well. We'll also, at the end of the show, we'll be going through the potential outs for Arsenal tomorrow. There's been talk about Cedric Suarez leaving, and hopefully it doesn't look like any ins, but could be a few outs. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show. I know, Liam, you're going to do a special one in your podcast, aren't you, tomorrow?
Yeah, we've got a transfer deadline special at half 8 tomorrow evening, so not expecting too much at the moment, if I'm being frankly honest. Yeah.
I can see the Jim White, the white shirt and the yellow tie in the background there. He's
yeah. Wait till you see the picture that comes out tomorrow. You'll love it.
No, thanks for coming along, Liam. Much appreciated.
No, thank you.
We might as well delve into last night's 2-1 away victory against Nottingham Forest, lads. Goals by Gabriel Jesus and Bukayo Saka, and Awoniyi came back again to 100. That's 3 goals in 3 games, I think, now, since we played them. It brings us back to the opening game of the season, doesn't it, this one? I think Matt Turner must be sick and tired of the sight of Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Jesus. 2 really well taken goals. I thought it could have been a lot more than 2, to be honest. We hit the post crossbar, I don't know, many times, but the Forest defending was really good. I thought they got their bodies on the line when it mattered. I thought Smith Rowe had a really good game as well. He's looking really athletic lately since he's come back from the reset. I'll come to you, Liam, since you're our new guest tonight. What did you make of last night's performance?
I think the most important thing last night was getting the win. We needed to go into that Liverpool game, obviously, with the confidence of a win. And if we didn't win last night, for me, I'd have found it quite difficult to see us in the title race. But I think because we got the job done, and like you said, it was a convincing performance. We was dominating. The only thing we lacked, which we've lacked most of the season, was that final product. I'm well happy with the win, honestly. I just wanted to go into Liverpool with 3 points and see how Sunday takes us, basically.
Yeah. Yes. Since the reset, we were talking before we came on here, I was just saying how well Gabriel Jesus looks. Do you feel yourself that the reset was badly needed? We looked like a different team from the West Ham Fulham games, don't we?
Yeah, obviously the Fulham game for me was the game where I think, probably the only game I looked at this season where I've looked at us and thought we don't deserve even to get a draw out of this game was the Fulham game. If you look at all the other defeats that we had, like you said, Liverpool in the FA Cup, we should have won that game.
Yeah.
West Ham, we should have won that game. Even when you look back to the games against Aston Villa early on in the season, you sit there and think we should have at least got a draw out of that game. I think the Fulham game was a bit of everything, wasn't it? It was a bit of I think that we'd come off that bit bad defeat at West Ham, and I just think it was not a nice kickoff. New Year's Eve, 2 p.m. I just don't think it suited us, and we just didn't go out there and perform, did we? But that's a big win last night, in my opinion. That is a big win because we've gone out there. It weren't easy because they sat there with their low block, defended their lives out, like you said, and for 65 minutes, she was probably sitting there thinking, is this goal going to come? And then it comes, and then we get the second, and you think, do you know what? We can breathe now. And then typical Arsenal style, one long ball, it's pinged over to our left back, which, if I'm going to be frankly honest, I think Arteta, in my opinion, should look at maybe subbing Zinchenko at times between the 80th and 90th minutes. I think that's when he kind of lacks a bit of I don't want to say composure, because he's so composed in this ball, but I think at times, basically late in games, he does cost us a little bit. And I think it was a harsh one because the ball's been played quite long, but we know that Zinchenko's aerially not that great in the air, and they've exploited him with it, and then potentially Saliba could have done much better. I did think yesterday night that it probably was one of Saliba's poorer games, if I'm being totally honest with you. He didn't seem his assured self last night.
Yeah,
and it was a rubbish goal. It was a rubbish goal. You'd have hoped Gabriel to be a little bit tighter, and you look at it and you just think it was a bit of a rubbish goal. But then, I guess in some games you need to be going into injury time, backs against the walls, see if you can cope with the pressure. And we see it through in the end. I know it was tight, but I thought Trossard come out that last 7 minutes probably the best player out there, because he was so composed.
Yeah.
When he carried that ball up, he was literally taking so much pressure off our defensive midfield at that point. So,
yeah,
tough game, but like I said, all that matters is 3 points.
that was a game last season. I think it was in May, wasn't it, when we lost 3-0 to Brighton? They were the next opponents, and that Awani actually scored the winning goal, which all but ended their title hope. So they were the games last season we were actually losing, and this season you can see the mindset now. You know, that bit of experience over the last season or two, we're in and out to win the games. I think we're, as Eamon says in a few of the podcasts, and you yourself, Matt, we're doing really well away from home this season. You know, there's been very few slip-ups, you know. I thought David Rea, when he saved that in the last minute, I thought that was going to be the equalising goal, but he had very little to do, but he was alert, you know, he's quite agile, you know. And are you glad to see him being Smith Rowe back, Liam? He looks really athletic, doesn't he? Fresh.
What, David Rea?
No, sorry, you mean Smith Rowe.
Sorry?
Sorry, Smith Rowe. He looks really fresh.
Sorry, I broke up a little bit there. Do you know what, right? I love Smith Rowe to get in that team. I've been, obviously, probably like a lot of us, we was kind of made to believe last year, I'm not saying by the club itself, but by obviously people in the background and all that kind of stuff, that Smith Rowe potentially would take over as Xhaka's role on the left-hand side. And a little bit because of obviously form at times, but I think mostly because of injuries, he hasn't been given that opportunity. And I was glad to see him get it last night. But for me, Smith Rowe needs to be given at least 5 to 6 games up in that midfield to be able to kind of really stamp his authority in there. And it was quite weird last night. Before the game, I was running on doing some treadmill running. I was watching back the All or Nothing series. It was the second one.
Yeah.
And it was when Saka and Smith Rowe were getting embedded in that Arteta team. And you look at him then and you look at him now and you think it is a bit disappointing in terms of what's happened with Smith Rowe, because there's so much potential there. And my worry is if we sold him, he could come good elsewhere. And I just think he needs a good 5 to 10 games, but I'm not sure like he'll start Sunday, if I'm being totally honest. I had this feeling that I don't think he'll start Partey Sunday personally. He's not that typical kind of manager. I think he might have him on the bench, but I think he might go back to Havertz on Sunday.
I think so.
He seems to be big into Kai Havertz, Arteta, isn't he? He's giving him a good go, isn't he? He sees something there, yes. And I suppose he has come good as the season has gone on, in fairness to him. I think last season at Chelsea really ripped the heart out. You know, he just had such a bad season. He's still getting over that, but there is plenty of potential there, yeah. Yourself, Matt, really, as Liam said, a really important away win last night, which sets up a really cracking game on Sunday. First v second. In the past, we've gone there and lost, even though we've been in control of the game. But last night we saw it through. What was your take on last night's match?
Yeah, pretty much the same, I suppose. It was a must-win game, obviously. You know, winning them 2 games in a row, coming up to the Liverpool game was crucial. We need to be in the mix. You know, we don't want to be falling too far behind. Obviously, if City win tonight, they'll go ahead of us, but on goal difference with a game in hand. But we have to be confident. We've put in two very, very strong performances the last two games, be it very frustrating last night for such a long time. There was stats up at one stage. We had 81% possession. We were, I think, 50-odd% in their box or in and around their box. And they were like 3 or 4% up the other end, So we've got to do something with that possession. We've got to find a way to score more goals. I don't know where that's coming from, because you just don't, we scored 7 in our last two games, which I suppose is not bad. But we spoke about it last week, and the two Martinelli goals. By the end of the game, it was just opened up nicely for him for the last two goals. It could have been a comfortable 3-0 win against Palace, or we trashed them 5-0. So it was a very, very small margin there for that. But listen, never complain about 3 points, ever, ever, ever. Our team, as you know, will frustrate the shit out of us for most of the season for different reasons. We need to. I think we can go in there with a bit of confidence. The Liverpool game, we played them only 3 games ago in the cup, and we should have won that day. We should have been 4-0 up at half time. We were that dominant in that game. On Sunday, my biggest fear, I suppose, is for. I thought Zinchenko was very, very good last night for the most of the game. I thought he played very well. Like Zinchenko, the left back / midfielder / right winger. He gets around the pitch unbelievably.
He's versatile, yeah.
Oh, unbelievably. But you'd love to think there's another position for him in the team. Let's put a left back in there who's going to do the job of a left back, and let Zinchenko run wild across the pitch, because he's good at it, and he gets into good positions. He's a good passer of the ball. He's great vision and everything else. So very happy with him for the majority of the game. Didn't do great for the. When the goal happened, but like Liam said, Saliba has a lot to answer for there. I thought it was very, very poor defending from him. I don't think Ray could do much about the goal, the shot when it came in. It was too close to him. So there's very little we could do there. Smith Rowe, I thought, was fantastic when he was on. It was so good to see his name on the team sheet, And like Liam said, there's so much promise from Smith Rowe for years. The All or Nothing documentary will tell you that. This bond that him and Saka have, that was we thought was the future of Arsenal Football Club, was Saka and Emile Smith Rowe. So much so that they got their own song and everything else. But it was great to see him play. It was great to see him play the way he did, because he got himself. I was watching him, and I said this about Havertz last week, because I called Havertz for man of the match against Palace, because I was over at it, and I watched him the whole game just to see what his purpose is, what he does, how he moves himself, how he gets into position, how he takes the ball down. He did a fantastic job. But I was watching Smith Rowe last night in particular, and he, whenever he laid off a ball, he was running in, he was looking around and seeing where the position, where the gaps were, where he could run into, where he could make something happen the next time. He was like a snooker player lining up his shots, for two positions later or whatever else. But he was brilliant. He was really good when he played. Obviously not man of the match, but really good to see him get a good run out for a change. And it can only do his confidence a bit of good, Hopefully he doesn't leave. I mean, he's not going anywhere this transfer window. And I think it's going to be a very, very short conversation about the transfer window at the end. But, Smith Rowe shouldn't go anywhere, Arsenal is his club. Fabulous rapport with the fans. Everybody loves him, and I'd hate to see him go somewhere else, But I'm a big Haaland guy. I love to see players coming through, and players with Arsenal in their heart, and putting it all on the line for the team, because they're the players that do it for you. You get your 80 million quid guy coming in and your 50 million quid guy coming in. They don't have the same feeling for the club, which I think is incredibly important. To have some sort of background of Arsenal in the team, actual Arsenal, born and bred in the team, So I think it was great to see him play. Martinelli, I thought, was pretty poor. I didn't think he did an awful lot. He got a lot of the ball in the first half and just didn't do much with it. He seemed to be passing it back all the time to Zinchenko to maybe do something, and didn't work out too well for him. he's a bit hot and cold at the minute, Martinelli. But I think, you know, Eamon spoke about it a few times in podcasts. Like, we got so much freedom last year because it was new. You know, we had this new thing where people couldn't work out what Saka and Odegaard were doing and what Martinelli was doing, and you know, and we got so much more freedom and so much more opportunities and everything else. And teams have copped onto us this year. They know how we work, so they're going to throw 2 men on Saka, and they're going to throw a couple of men out to Martinelli and stop from getting the ball in from the byline and everything else. So I don't know if we need to maybe fix something there or mix it up more. I saw at one stage Saka went out to into the middle and Jesus went out in the right, and you know, but they I don't know, they need to mix something up there. We're always giving out about goals, about not getting enough goals and not having an out-and-out striker. But you know, we're not doing too bad on the goal scoring charts either. You know, we're not that far off the mark when it comes to it. You know, and I think a statement win on Sunday would really, really push us on, I think, especially with Champions League coming up now as well, with the Porto game. And I think we can push on from it. And who knows? It's the league. It's a very, very tough league this year. You've got 3 teams up there who are going to be fighting for the title. Liverpool, ourselves and City. Villa, I'm sure will fall away. Tottenham are rubbish, as we all know.
See that last night. They were at home to Newcastle. They lost 3-1.
Yeah, you know. But I mean, they will fall away. But fair play to them. They've done well. Emery's has done a great job over there.
The high line is killing them now. You know, I think. Yeah. You know, that he's stubborn. He won't change. But you can see Newcastle worked that out to a T, didn't they, last night?
Yeah, they did, absolutely. Yeah. But no, listen, delighted with the performance. I thought Jesus took his goal fantastically. I never saw it going in. I was thinking about Kanu against Chelsea all them years ago when he put it in from that sort of angle. It was fantastically placed. And also for Saka's goal, you know, beautiful breakaway goal. It was an absolute beautiful breakaway goal. Odegaard, you know, good vision from Odegaard to find Jesus. Havertz, fair play to him. He ran like a fucking horse there down the middle. Thinking he might get something on it, and when Jesus played it across the box, Havertz actually stepped over the ball to let it go to Saka, and Saka placed it. You know, so it was very good from him too. I know we only played a few minutes, we couldn't tell much about him last night, but 3 points always satisfying, even though we get the shit scared out of us for the last few minutes as we can do. But no, listen, you dominate a game like that and you take the 3 points, perfectly happy with it. And man of the match for me, Jesus, without a doubt. You know, I thought he was really, really good.
He's come back with a bang, hasn't he, since that restart?
He has. You
know, he looks a different player. He's like a wild animal again, isn't he? Like
but you always fear, you know, he's had a lot of injuries. And you know, he's one little knock away from another 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out. You know, and it's happened a lot. It's happened a lot to him throughout his Arsenal career. So you don't want to be, you know, you want to have. I'm sure Jesus would score 15, 20 goals a season if he was fit all the time, you know, but he's just not, and he's getting sporadic goals here and there. But he always puts in a good shift. He's always dangerous. You know, he hit the post there as well last night with a brilliant move. That was a fantastic move around the box for that to happen.
Yeah,
and it's just a shame it didn't go in because it. You know, would have been up there for goal of the month, I'd say, with the way the movement was and all that, you know. But no, 3 points, love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, because as you said earlier, Liam, Nottingham Forest had the low block, hadn't they? You know, and it nearly worked the Emirates in the opening day of the season.
And I tell you what, from Forest's point of view, they defended fantastically. Is it Montiel?
Yeah, Montiel and Murillo.
Montiel was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. I don't know if he's trying to put himself in the shop window or something, but Jesus Christ, he was fantastic, you know, absolutely brilliant. Now, I got to say, fair play to him. And even on the break as well, he was up there on the break as well and everything else, you know. So he put in a brilliant shift, fair play to him now, I got to say.
I think what done Forest really as well, they've a lot of players at the African Nations Cup that was missing there, you know. I think they lost the guts of 5 or 6, so in that sense.
But we've lost El Neni, don't forget, you know.
To be honest, I think Matt Turner, you can see the weakness. You can see why Arteta kind of got rid of him. You know, he's a mistake waiting to happen, isn't he? He's just
there's talk about Forest looking to bring in a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah.
You know,
he's probably an MLS standard, you know, at best, but he is a good shot stopper, you know. But look, 2-1 at home and 2-1 away at Forest. Leeds is second now with 46 points now.
Yeah.
Just two behind Liverpool now. You know, that game's going to be an absolute cracker now. The way the league table has worked out. Who was your man of the match, Liam, from last night? Who stood out for you?
Yeah, I think Gabriel Jesus was probably the outstanding candidate, weren't he?
100%.
If I was looking at anyone else, I'd probably. Do you know what? I thought Ben White had a good game. I thought he got up and down the pitch pretty well, and he was getting himself into some really good positions and situations in the first half. Do you know, I guess the one thing that did frustrate me last night, and it has kind of frustrated me for a while, and there was a key moment right at the start of the second half where, if you remember, there's 4 players pouring forward, and we had a great chance of obviously really counter-attacking them. And then we just then step back and then just bring the back into midfield again. And sometimes I just feel there's a lack of confidence at the moment in terms of that killer ball. And I know you can't try that killer ball all the time, but there was this prime example at the start of the second half, and we just didn't do it. And I think at times, our midfield play is very pedestrian at times, very slow paced. And I don't think that is supporting the likes of Martinelli and Saka whatsoever, because by that point, once you get the ball to them, they're being double manned up. And as you said, the low block, Nottingham Forest low block was disgusting last night. Like, when you think about it, they're at home in front of their own fans. And I was sitting there half time thinking, if I was watching as a home support, I'd be really, really disappointed that my team's not even going out and attacking this team at home. I maybe I see it differently to obviously other people, but I just like thought that as a home team, you should be coming out and entertaining your fans. And they did nothing. They literally did nothing for like 85, 90 minutes until they scored. They did literally zero. And I think it was a very comprehensive performance, really. And it should have been 3 or 4-0, really. We shouldn't have conceded that goal, but we should have at least got 3 to 4 goals in that game last night.
Yeah. Did you notice actually at the end of the game, Zinchenko and Arteta having a big a talk? Did you see that?
Yeah, Ben White was involved, wasn't he?
Ben was arguing with Zinchenko about something. I don't know if it was about the goal that was given away, or whatever, something was said. But it seemed fairly heated now, I got to say. A couple of people pulled Ben White away and that, but
I think that's good to see as well, though, Matt, isn't it?
I think
You see players, they're hungry, aren't they? You know, that's the
absolutely.
hunger.
Notice it at games as well. You know, you'd be watching a game as well, and you wouldn't mind to see it certainly on the TV where the camera goes up the pitch. But when you're watching it live, you can see players having a go at each other, and roaring and shouting, and they need to be doing that too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They do. They go back to the changing room, they have a hug, and they forget about it. But there was definitely something going on there. And Liam, you were saying about Ben White's game last night. Yeah, absolutely, he had a very good game. But we've spoken about it. We've an awful lot of players now who are 8 out of 10s every week. No matter what. The majority of weeks. Ben White's definitely one of them. Obviously, Declan Rice is one of them, Odegaard, Saka. You've got a lot of players there who are Gabriel, Saliba, who are 8 out of 10s week in, week out, and give absolutely everything. Ben White, he doesn't get a lot of praise week in, week out, because he's, the praise goes to whoever's scoring the goals, or, generally. But Ben White's always very solid, and absolutely deserves to be in there 100%.
Yeah, there's a bit of a leader in Ben White, isn't there? Future captain maybe as well. Yeah. With us being 2 points behind Liverpool, Liam, how do you see the game going on Sunday yourself? Do you see us coming out with the blocks like we done last year when we won 3-2? Gabriel Martinelli scored after a minute. Can you see a start like that?
I don't see a start like that on Sunday. What I see, though, is I think what we got at the Emirates, probably in the FA Cup, that we will go out. We will go out at them. to kind of try and dismantle them as early as possible, really, and try and put a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're playing a different prospect of a Liverpool team to probably what we thought of 2 weeks ago. We got to remember we got a Liverpool team turning up now, which is basically the Jurgen Klopp road show between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it should give us even more, give us more fire in our bellies. Say, do you know what? We're not going to let them come here and beat us. And I'm confident Sunday. Do you know that? I am actually quite confident Sunday that we'll go and do the job and get the job done. I just think that. So I look at the percentage games at times, and I think that we was really unlucky against Liverpool in the FA Cup. And if we do that to them again, we will win that game. And I think as long as we go out and do what we did against them for the first 75 minutes at the Emirates in the FA Cup, we should win the game. Their team won't be much different. Their team won't be much different to what they had then. They haven't got Salah, but they still got threats, didn't they? They still got your Jota, who's in banging form, Nunez, who seems to be growing. So it's going to be a tough game, but I'm optimistic that we can get the job done, and I think we'll have a really, really strong team out Sunday. And do you know the other thing I think about as well, the Manchester City game? And even if we just bring Thomas Partey on, like in that game that we did for 20 minutes, he had a massive impact, didn't he? So it could be, if it gets into a late in a game and the game's still like 0-0 or 1-1, and we've got a Thomas Partey to bring on, that could be the difference.
Yeah, because substitution wise, it has worked, hasn't it, this season? Like he's like we saw against Palace when Martinelli came on, scored twice there in the last 5 minutes. You know, like his tackle, he can't get the substitutions right. You know, he's got a lot better at the memory as the season to compare to last year. Yeah, because I thought last season he couldn't really change a game when we went behind, but definitely this season you can see, you know, he's worked it out. You know, and thank God the talk about him going to Barca is rubbish. He quashed that yesterday, didn't he? What do you think, Liam? Do you think that was rubbish rumours, or do you think there could be?
Nah, I was live on a show when it got broke on Sunday, and like first thing I was thinking, my first thought process was, why would he leave at this point? Like he's got the team to this level. He's done so much work with it, and we got to think of the flip side as well. That ball is stuck with him when 99% of the balls would have kind of dismissed him back in 2020-21 season. Yeah. So I think that he owes the ball. He definitely. You've seen obviously the All or Nothing. Josh Kroenke's really close to him, it seems. I think he if he left, he'd be probably stabbing Josh Kroenke and Edu in the back. I'm being totally honest. Yeah. But I don't think Arteta's that kind of guy. I think he's a very loyal guy. And I think he will end up at somewhere like Barcelona one day. I'm sure of that. But the time's not now. And if you look at that Barcelona team at the moment, that needs a lot of work to be done in that team. And I just question at the moment with the Spanish league as well. It's not really that competitive, is it? It's not like it used to be that everyone was engrossed in the Spanish league. They're not as engrossed in the Spanish league as probably 10, 15 years ago when we had the likes of Messi and Ronaldo in there. And I think he's in the best league at the world at the moment with the best managers in the world. He needs to obviously prove himself and bring some trophies home, basically.
Yeah, I don't think as well. I was just saying that to a mate there in work as well today. I don't think he'd get the control over signings as he would with Arsenal. You know, Barcelona seems to be the president there seems to decide who do they want this glamour signing, don't they? Like, you know, that's another sign of it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, he's doing a good project there, Ted, isn't he? Like, and we're starting to see the fruition of it now. You know, the fruits are starting to come the last season or two. Yeah, I suppose when you look past Liverpool, lads, like after Liverpool, it's West Ham and Burnley away, Newcastle at home, and then Sheffield United away in Brentford, and then you're looking at that international break then in mid-March. That's Chelsea and City. Like after the Liverpool game, you'd kind of fancy your chances, wouldn't you, from West Ham, Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield and Brentford? Maybe Newcastle could be a bit iffy, but definitely the other four, Liam, you'd be expecting, wouldn't you, maximum points?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, it's in our own. It's up to us. Like we lost. We had lots of these conversations last season where we're going great guns and everything's great and we could win the league and we're all so positive and all. It's up to the club. It's up to the boys at the end of the day. they should have learned a lesson from last season. You know, like that was so disappointing for them and us, obviously, as fans. But they'll be hurting massively from last season, the way the end of the season went. And they're gonna, you know, if we're in a title fight in March, I think we'll go fighting all the way to the end. We mightn't win it ultimately, but I think they'll fight. You know, I don't think they'll go out and, you know, roll over with clubs like Southampton and Forest and whoever else. You know, they're just gonna. I think they absolutely can. You know, first of all, I think we can beat Liverpool on Sunday, and then you've got four very winnable games as well. You know, I think we'd handle Newcastle at our own stadium without a doubt. They don't worry me at all. The other games, you know, West Ham's away. It is away, isn't it?
Yeah, it's away. Yeah, it's after the Liverpool
always a tough place to go to. But you know what? We're better than them. You know, in the same way, I think we're better than Liverpool. But I'm going to say that anyway. But I firmly believe we are. I really do. My biggest fear against Liverpool is Diego Jota. I think he's on fire, and he seems to perform very well against us. And him, as much as I was, you know, delighted with Zinchenko last night for a lot of the game, I fear he would maybe turn Zinchenko inside out if he got the opportunity, you know. So we have to be very wary of him. Certainly Nunez, and you know, I mean, look, they're very good. Even Gomez going forward as well is very strong. Alexander-Arnold can do the same thing as well. But we can beat them. I have no doubt we can beat them. We really can. And I don't like going over there and losing either. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, good out run coming up now.
Do you think if we lose to Liverpool Sunday and if they win their game against Chelsea, do you think that could be the title chase over, Liam, realistically, if we don't do Liverpool one? Or do you think there's still enough to, you know, is there still enough room for a small margin of error?
Well, sadly, as you're just bigging up Jota, he's just scored for Liverpool. So they're
there you go.
So yeah, that's that. If we have to go and beat Liverpool, in my opinion, Sunday. I just think if we don't go and beat Liverpool Sunday, they remain 5 points clear. And you've got to remember now, we're not just chasing one team down like Man City were chasing us last year. We're going to be chasing two teams down. That becomes double trouble, don't it?
Yeah.
That becomes double trouble. Really, in my opinion, realistically, we need to win our next 5 to 6 games on the trot.
Yeah.
And I think if we did that, I think we're in a fantastic position to push on. And as you said, they're not easy games. Like Liverpool's going to be a tough game. They're the league leaders, so we got to expect a tough game. West Ham away, we owe them. We owe them what we owe them for the Carling Cup, and then obviously the home game. So I'm hoping that fire is going to be in the belly, and I'm sure Declan Rice ain't going to want to go there a second time and experience what he had to experience the first time. So you'd like to think that the team are going to be up for it. And do you know what? If we go to West Ham with Partey and Rice in midfield, I think we bully him. I think we absolutely bully him, and we should bully him. And it's literally about getting Partey back into that midfield for me at the moment. If we can get Partey back into that midfield and get a system going to the end of the season where potentially it might be Partey, Odegaard and Rice, then I don't see, like, when you see that how well we're dictating games already at the moment without Thomas Partey, you sit there and think, well, what we're going to be like with Thomas Partey in that midfield? We should literally be able to move forward if we can keep him and Rice fit for the rest of the season and win 90 to 95% of our Premier League games. But we definitely need to go into February and basically win every game, in my opinion. I look at the fixtures and I think even a draw is going to make it harder. So, and that's potentially what the West Ham Fulham results done for us. It's made us now have no room for error.
Yeah, they were them 2 games. It was a tough month, December, really, wasn't it? Because
we done the hard work.
To be honest, me and Eamon were saying if we go out with that mentality we done at Anfield, I thought we played really well. If not, we're better than Liverpool, you know, maybe marginally. But if we go with that attitude on Sunday, with us being at home, I can't see why not. And when you know. a win at home is definitely possible.
Yeah.
Because I think, as you said, Liam, rightly, we won't. This is a roadshow now for Klopp now till the end of the season. I think Arsenal want to be the first team to knock that one wheel off. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a cracking game, isn't it? You spoke on to the game yourself, lads.
Yeah, I'll be over there. Yeah. Yeah.
You just have a feeling it's going to be like that Man City game at home, don't you? That atmosphere where everyone's on the edge.
I'll take that. I'll take that atmosphere. We need to create that atmosphere because at the Palace game, Liam, I don't know if you were at it. Were you at the Palace game?
Yeah.
The atmosphere was very flat, I thought. It didn't have the same, it didn't feel the same. Even somebody pointed it out, and I actually felt it at the time, but kind of ignored it. Even when the Angel was playing at the start of the game, it didn't seem like everybody was joining in. It was kind of, you heard Louis Dunford more than you heard the crowd sing. And usually the crowd completely overtake it. So there was definitely a flatness to the atmosphere. But, I was at the City game earlier in the season when we beat them 1-0. And that's what we need. We need that passion, that atmosphere, that belief, And, but, I believe we're a better side than Liverpool. I didn't believe we were a better side than City. I thought we could compete with them. But we need that. We need the crowd to really, really get behind the team on Sunday to get past Liverpool. It's going to be a very, very tough game. It always is against Liverpool. But yeah, I feel we can beat them. I absolutely feel we can beat them. I think we will beat them. So, well, I say that every week, Jonathan. I always say we win.
I'm not going with any predictions on this one because we're Jonas on this show.
As part of your contract, you have to give a prediction. Yeah.
If I was going with one, I'd probably go with 3-2 like the last game at home last season. I think it'd be that close. I just think what worries me is Liverpool's forward line. They can change. They're so good, aren't they? Núñez, Jota, obviously minus Salah, but Diaz is as good. And Conor Bradley as well. That young lad, he's really ripping it up as well. I think Klopp will go out with a bang though. They will finish the season strongly. If anything, they're getting stronger, which is a bit worrying. They're doing a Man City juggernaut at the moment. City aren't ripping up trees this season. I wouldn't like City are a team to worry about, but I don't. There's something about them this season. I think after winning that treble last season, the fire's kind of gone out. They've won it now, and I could be wrong, but they don't worry me as they did a season or two.
You should tell Burnley that at the moment.
I think Burnley are winning, are they?
No. City are 3-0 up. 3-0 up.
Don't quote me on that, Martin, when you put that together. So that game is Sunday. We go to some transfer talk. I know one was mentioned yesterday. Cedric Suarez it looked like he might be going to move to Turkey. Liam, can you tell us any more gossip or rumours?
No, well, I only really kind of know what you know around that at the moment. But if we can get I've had a transfer fee of 4.2 million. If we can get 4.2 million for Cedric Suarez, I'm actually really happy at that because we picked him up on a free transfer, and I was expecting to release him on a free transfer. So 4.2 million for Cedric Suarez, who's really just sitting on the bench as a bit of a supporter at the moment, isn't he? We're being frankly honest. That ain't bad business. That would be good business for me, and good luck to him. To be fair to him, I don't think he's really ever done anything wrong as such when he's played, but he's obviously not to a Arsenal standard whatsoever. But he had a great debut for us, didn't he? He scored on his debut for us, I remember, against Southampton, I believe. Good luck to him if he gets that moving. If we get a little bit of additional money in the coffers, that's even better.
Yeah, who else would you like to see go out, even on loan, Liam? Has there been any talk of any other players kind of being touted going out tomorrow? Well,
we've obviously let the youngster go, haven't we? So it's the left back, the full back, Ciso, is it? So he's gone to Aston Villa, hasn't he?
Is he? Yeah, right.
They're talking about 4 million that could be led up to 12 million. So that was a little bit of a surprise day because I know there's been quite a few fans highly recommending him and saying that could he get into the squad at any point, especially when we had a few left back injuries. But he's gone out. So, and I believe he's going to Plymouth on loan from Villa, but that's a little bit more money in the coffers. And I look at the rest of the squad now. Do I see anyone else going out? I don't think. Maybe El Neni. I thought El Neni might go, but you know what? I'd probably keep him to the end of the season if I'm being totally honest. I think he's good for the changing room. I think he's a good egg, and I think that we just have to be ensured that Partey could get injured again at any point. We know that. Do you know what I mean? He's not reliable enough. So I don't want to be caught short. I'm not saying that we'll start on any games, but if you can have him on the bench, then it's better than no one, isn't it? Really, so I think like if we're not really getting a fee for him, then I think just keep him to the end of the season and then let him go.
Yes, and like what we were saying at the start of the show, we couldn't really sign anyone because of the financial fair play, but were you disappointed, Liam, that we couldn't get anyone in this transfer window, or were you kind of expecting that we wouldn't be doing any business yourself?
No, I think I was like you guys. I wanted to see a striker come in.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be that push to give us that extra push for the second half of the season. Well, I'd love to see the striker come in, but obviously, I think it's the Raya deal. Kind of proved everything to us, didn't it? That why get him on loan when you could have brought him, and the reason we got him on loan is because obviously we couldn't afford to buy him. And due to that, it's quite obvious now that there is no funds available to kind of go out and buy anyone. I did wonder whether they might get creative around a couple of maybe departures and maybe bringing a player in, but that hasn't materialised. So I think we're pretty much going to have to go with what we can go with for the second half of the season. I know we said it off air as well. Like I've got this feeling that we might. I think the Champions League. I think we got a good chance of having a good go at it this time round. And especially with Liverpool not being in it this year and being the banging form team, like the only two teams I really worry about is City and Real Madrid over two legs. I look at everyone else and I think, do you know what? We'll give anyone else a game.
Yeah.
And that includes Munich. That actually includes Munich because, no offence, we played Harry Kane season in, season out. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know what he's all about. I think Munich are a good team, but they're not tearing up trees. Leverkusen are winning the German league at the moment. So I look at that Champions League, and if we can try and avoid Madrid and the City to the final, then why not?
Yeah, it'd be a cracking final being at Wembley as well. Yeah, it'd be nice. And we know our history at Wembley. You'd fancy, wouldn't you?
You fancy Arsenal. You fancy Arsenal back end of May, early June, don't you, at Wembley?
I think we've got still unfinished business from 2006, lads. You know, we really want that trophy. You know, that would really make. If we couldn't do the Premier League, the Champions League, it would. And as Eamon says in this show as well, it's a shorter route to the Champions League final than it is. You know, you can make it. Exactly. Yeah, it's winnable. Yeah, it's definitely winnable. But yeah, if we have to get through Porto first. You have to respect the opposition. We've come up. You know, there's been times where we've been expecting to beat teams and it just hasn't happened. But you would expect us. You know, it's probably the toughest. If Porto just lose their top players every season, sadly, you know, and it just weakens them. I know the last time I was there was 2009-10 when Sol Campbell scored in Porto.
Oh yeah.
And then Super Nicholas Bentner got a hat-trick then at home. So something similar would be nice, but I take a sloppy 1-0 to just get through. What do you expect as well, before I come on to you, Matt, sorry, do you expect a striker like in the summer, like in the likes of Ivan Toney joining Arsenal, you know, and a proven out-and-out striker that can get you 20-odd goals? Can you see someone like that coming in?
Yeah, I definitely see someone like that coming in. I'm not sure. Something that says to me that I don't think we're going to get Osimhen. I don't know why, but something says to me that we won't get him. And we pretty much know over the business over the last few years that we do like buying Premier League experienced players now. Which I'm kind of happy about that. We've gone down that road over the last few years. I feel that was one thing that we lacked in the Wenger years, was that we didn't have the finance to go and hit the Premier League and take people's best players off them as such, where now we can do that. I think as long as the money's right, I think we can get someone like Toney, but everyone's saying that he's 27 coming up to 28, but then again, Ian Wright was 27 coming up to 28 when we brought him in. Do you know what I mean? True, I think at times people are too materialised on the age factor. Well, let's be honest, right? Zlatan was smashing it up at 35, 36 years old. So I'm not adverse to Toney coming in, but if there's someone else better in the market, then I'm sure we'll go. I'm sure we'll try and hit that first. But yeah, I think you got your suspects in you. I think Oshman's going to be linked all the way through to the summer, pretty much for like every other team. Ivan Toney's going to be exactly the same. So yeah, I think it's going to be out 2 or 3 strikers if I'm being honest. F.M. Ferguson, that's a name that's going to start being piped up a little bit more. I don't know if it's too early, if I'm being honest at the moment, but Joey, if you brought Tony for a couple of years, then got someone like him in, it could be a trial, couldn't it?
Yeah, when I was at the Brighton game with Eamon and a few others at the end of last season, Evan Ferguson really impressed me. He's a strong lad for 18. You know, he's got all the attributes of a striker. You know, holds the ball up well and can be a nuisance. And you know, he's well ahead of his years, isn't he? You know, you can see that Brighton have done a super job on him. And of course, he was moulded with Bohemians FC here. Just give them a mention. Matt, do you see anything? There's probably going to be a few outs. Definitely no wins tomorrow, isn't it, Matt?
No wins at all. A few outs. No, I mean apart from
Cedric.
Apart from Cedric, but you know, maybe a couple of the younger players might be loaned out last minute. You tend to see that on the final day of the transfer window as well. I'm not a fan of the transfer window at all. You know, I never have been. It's great to see a good signing coming in occasionally, like, you know, when Trossard came in or when Ozil came in or whatever else. But I'm not a fan of it. I believe that the transfer window should finish before the season starts. You know, before the season starts, and that's it. Because you're going on to the last day. You're right into August at the start of the season. There's 3 or 4 games gone, and then you're trying to settle a player into the squad. Then, you know, even this tomorrow. You know, the transfer window's been open for weeks. You know, why wait till the last second to do it? You know, do your business early, like we did last when we brought in Jesus and we brought in Zinchenko, and then this season we brought in Rice. It was all done pre-season. It was all done at the right time.
Yeah.
And I won't even take an interest in the transfer window tomorrow because there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening anywhere really. You know, and if all we can you know, if all we're going to see tomorrow is Cedric leaving, well, good luck to him. You know, you know, I suppose you can't say he was a good servant or anything else. He never gave out. He never.
No, he didn't. No, he acted like
he sat on the bench most of the time, and he just took his few quid, and you know, never badmouthed anybody, and never gave out about that, and you know, and like Liam said, he didn't do a lot wrong when he came in. You know,
no, yeah,
he actually performed pretty well when he came in, and. But yeah, he's not going to be missed from the squad. It's not like we're losing a player that we're going to go, Jesus, why didn't we replace him? You know. As regards a striker, I never believed we bring in a striker this transfer window. Anyway, a lot of people were asking for them to sell Eddie, or you know, maybe Smith Rowe will go here or there, and we can get a striker and everything else. You know, I'd much rather see the Hale End lads in there than bring in a rush striker. Tony himself, I suppose, would have been the main name that everybody was talking about. And, you know, he was just back from 8 months without playing football. And no one knows how he's going to adapt, you know. And not only that, where he can score a bag full of goals for Brentford, nobody knows he's going to do the same for us either, you know. He mightn't fit into the, you know, there's not a lot of strikers out there who could come in and do the same job at every team they join. You see it so many times where a striker has scored 20 goals for his club and he's come in and he's scored 2 or 3 goals and hasn't performed the way, you know, Jesus, I suppose, where Jesus is an excellent player, he's an excellent footballer, he does some great stuff on the pitch, but he's not a massive goal scorer. You know, you'd be watching him when he was playing for Man City and you think he was scoring week in, week out, you know. But actually, there was a very good stat there last night. Jesus has never lost a game that he scored in.
Jeez.
We never lost a game.
Long may continue to the end of the season. So
he's never lost a game that he scored in. I think he's he scored in 58 games or something, and he's won 54 of them and drawn 4. You know, so
he's an incredible player.
So if he scores against Liverpool on Sunday, I'd be fucking smiling. You know,
I think he looks different. He looks like the player we saw when we signed him last season, those first few months, he looks that fresh again. You
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past me if he gets bags a couple against Liverpool, or ends
But
up.
we thought when he came in that he was going to be our 20 goal a season
Yeah,
goal.
I was at the Leicester game, and we won 4-2 that day. I think it was the second game in, and he scored a beauty.
Yeah, but that's testament to it. Whereas he's a really good footballer. He's come in and he scored a few goals. He's had some injuries and all that. But who's to say Tony isn't going to come in and do the same thing like that? Only score a few goals,
I don't know, Matt. I do believe Tony is a 20 goal a season strike. I think playing for a better club, he'd even probably get more. He's athletic, he's quick, and he's a top finisher. I think he'd be. It's just his attitude, I don't know, his attitude is a bit, his personality, might clash with Arteta, he's a bit too, he likes himself a bit too much, he's overconfident maybe, but you never know, look, that's for the summertime, but I thought with us coming to the end of the show, lads, I'm going to do goal of the month for January. Really only the Palace and the Forest games to really look at. I'm going to go for Leandro Trossard myself against Crystal Palace. I thought the move was really good from Raya, Jesus going down one end of the field to the other, and then Trossard sitting Klein on his arse and burying the past Henderson. I'll go to you, Liam. What was your goal of the month for January?
Trying to remember the goals in January. It certainly won't sack us against Fulham, I can tell you that much.
Definitely not.
I think that Trossard goal is the outstanding goal, isn't it? Just the counter attack from that goal, and it was like watching Arsenal of old. And that's the thing with Trossard. He's got the ability when he gets into them situations to be deadly, and it's just a shame that we don't utilise his strengths more. But do you know what? I think he'll be more suited to the Champions League as well.
Yeah, I do. The style of play, it's not as intense really as the. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially we saw against Sevilla at home. But I thought he played brilliant that day, didn't he? And PSV, that's the home games he really shone in the Champions League. Yeah. Matt, your goal of the month for January?
Yeah, God, you would. I mean, there's only 7 goals, so there's not a lot to choose from. But I mean, both of the goals last night were very good in different ways. Obviously, Jesus took his goal very well. Saka's the movement to build up Saka's goal was very good as well. But I mean, look, that Trossard goal, that pass out by just how quick it was. I loved how Trossard held his line brilliantly. And we spoke about it last week about that went to VAR. It was like, when you look at it again, you're like, geez, he's a fucking yard onside, but he held that run brilliantly. You could see him actually holding his run before he scored, and it was brilliant. Also, in that game, I thought the corner from Declan Rice for Gabriel's first goal was a fantastic corner. He was taking corners last night. I was praying that it was going to be the same type of corner again, but it wasn't. Yeah. But that was a beautiful corner, and Gabriel got up incredibly well and to score that goal too. So he comes a very close second for me as well. But look, you can't but not give it to Trossard.
Yeah, I suppose the 2 goals from Gabriel Martinelli, they were nearly carbon copies of each other, but they rightly deserved. Look, after a slow start in the month, we've really finished it strongly, haven't we? You can't ask for more back-to-back Premier League wins. Perfect. Since we have Liam as a special guest on our show tonight, would you like to mention your podcast, yourself, Liam, where you can catch your show and all that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, obviously I have a channel which is basically around Arsenal fans forever. We're basically co-in-line with In the North Bank as well. And we do have a show tomorrow night. So if you feel like you want to jump on for a transfer deadline special, I'm not sure what you're going to get out of transfers, but we'll talk all different stuff, and we'll probably just start reviewing probably the Premier League in terms of all the teams and how things are going on at present. We'll be going on live on air at 8:30 tomorrow night. So I will be putting the stream out on YouTube and Twitter sometime tomorrow morning to get a link out.
Sweet, Liam. Yeah, I'll definitely be tuning into that myself. Yeah, 8:30 tomorrow night. There you go. Don't forget Sky Sports News. It's the North Bank Summit is where it's at tomorrow night.
I'm going to send you a picture in a minute, mate. I'm going to send you a picture. We've also got Natalie Sawyer on the show tomorrow night.
Oh, happy days. There we go. God, we're really professional here. Putting us to shame here, Liam.
Not sure about that.
No, it's been great having you on. And as well as I'd like to thank my guest tonight, Liam Gardner from the North Bank Summit. Thanks for coming on, pal. Hope to have you on Monday evening if you're free.
Yep, definitely.
And also by Matt Bourne, our show regular as well. Thanks for coming on, Matt.
Cheers, Nelson. Cheers, mate. Thanks a million.
As always, catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. But until Monday show, have a great week, lads, and enjoy Transfer Deadline Day with Liam and co. Thanks for listening.
Cheers, guys.